We've also got some great seats up front. I'm not a preacher, so you can sit in the front row without any fears.
Sit up here in the front.
Well, maybe. We get to sit in.
There's some counseling history that's been Dungeons and Dragons. Let's get quiet, so I'll go ahead and kick things off. There's a few more chairs if anyone wants to sit down. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Michael Klitzing, and I am fortunate to serve as Director of Parks and Recreation here in Carmel. And today is really an incredibly special day as we celebrate the reimagined West Park, as well as honor and remember Jim Engledow for his many contributions to both Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation, as well as to the greater community. As we begin, I would like to take a moment to thank several people who have had a hand in this reimagined park, and I'd like to thank them for their tremendous support. First of all, this project would not be possible without Clay Township and the Clay Township Impact Program. We have several representatives here today from Clay Township, Trustee Paul Hensel, Board Member Mary Eckert, Board Member Matt Snyder is also here. Not joining us today is Paul Hensel, but I know he sends his best wishes. Our park system is such a success that we are today also because of the partnership we have between Clay Township and the City of Carmel. We also have some of our representatives and elected officials from the City of Carmel. Mayor Brainerd is here to join us. Councilman Miles Nelson, Councilman Jeff Burrell. Did I miss any of our other councilors? I want to thank you so much for the great support we have from the elected officials. You know, they understand the importance of parks and recreation and quality of life, and thanks to the partnership and the incredible financial support, as well as just the ability to do what we do, we would not be in the park system we are today without them. I also want to thank the Park Board for their stewardship and leadership through this project and for everything we do in Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation. We have several of our board members here today. President Rich Taylor is with us in the back. We have Mark Westermeyer, who also was my predecessor and served many years as Director of Parks and Recreation. We have Jim Garrettson, who I actually remember his name this time. He always likes teasing me because I always have a brain fart every time I mention him. And Jim, you know, you told me the next time I do a dedication to have it in your backyard if it's dry. Well, it's not in your backyard, but this is our fourth dedication, first one for this park, but we've been trying to do some dedications out at River Heritage Park, and every time it either rains or we even had one smokeout. So at least here we have a building, so we're very fortunate for that. You know, we celebrate nature, and Mother Nature sometimes brings us rain as well. Any other park board members that I missed? We also have some former park board members here, Jessica Fear, Joan Hetterman, and Dutcher. Did I miss anyone else? Again, thank you for your stewardship and leadership and helping us be the park system we are. Some other partners that we want to celebrate and thank for their role in the reimagined West Park. Alderson Construction was our general contractor. I don't think I saw anyone from Alderson here today. Smith Group was our Imagineer and designer of this park. Greg Calpino has joined us from Smith Group. Our owner's rep was CTI Construction, which not here today, so. And Lockheed Moore served also to provide some oversight. And then, of course, most importantly, we want to welcome Elaine Engledow, Jack Engledow, and the entire Engledow family and friends of Jim that are joining us today as we celebrate not only reimagined park, but Jim Engledow Commons. So West Park was originally established in 2002, and it has served our community well for over 20 years. As the sole CCPR property west of Meridian Street, it has been well loved. And because it's been well loved, it was also time to do some renovations. Many playground equipment, splash pads have about a 15 to 20 year lifespan. So it was at that time that we really needed to do some upgrades and renovations to bring the park up to current standards. Today, we are building off the original commitment of this park to nature and to play. And West Park is reimagined with a completely new and one-of-a-kind recreation experience. But today is about so much more than celebrating the reimagined park. It is also an opportunity to honor and celebrate Jim Engledow and his legacy. Jim was an incredible individual who made a great impact on our community and also on our park system. Jim served for 20 years on the park board, 8 years as our park board president, and to this day, those are records. Longest serving park board member, longest serving park board president. And we really thrived under his leadership. Twice as a member of the park board, we won, when he was a member of the park board, we won the National Gold Medal Award, the highest award for municipal park system, and just the wise, sage advice that he would give us over the years. We would not be the park system we are today without the leadership and commitment and just steady hand that was Jim Engledow. So we're grateful for the years that he's dedicated to Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation. In March of this year, the Carmel Clay Board of Parks and Recreation unanimously passed a resolution to name the central portion of West Park the Jim Engledow Commons. On many occasions, Jim shared with us that this park is one of his favorite parks to visit, and especially with his grandchildren. So it seemed very appropriate to name this special place to Jim after him, so that many other visitors to West Park can create those same special memories and have those special times with their family, with their kids, their grandkids, and their loved ones. So with that, I'd like to invite Eric Engledow, Jim's oldest son, to make a few remarks on behalf of the family. Eric.
Hello, everyone. Okay, can you hear me okay? Is that better? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes here today to speak. It's kind of hard to understand, but I actually had the theme of this speech written over a year ago. Let me go back. It's Saturday, July 30th, 2022. I've just been informed that my father, Jim Engledow, is back in the hospital. It was with this news that my family piled into our minivan and headed off to Sugar Creek to enjoy a pre-planned day of canoeing with our neighbors. However, it was difficult to enjoy myself, knowing that my father was in the hospital, which unfortunately was becoming more and more common in recent months. We finished our day on the water and returned home. The next day, we piled back into that same minivan, but this time we were going to see my dad, Jim Engledow, or Pop, as my kids call him, at the hospital. We sat and spoke to him for about 45 minutes or so to check on him and see how he was doing. I will forever be grateful for that visit, as that was the last time we saw him alive. 2 days later, I received a phone call from my mother. No one wants to hear. Eric, the hospital called. Your dad just died. That first day was a blur, as had many days since. But it was the day after his passing, while out on an errand, that I got the urge to write. This is not something that happens often, but I felt the need to do something, to get some thoughts onto paper, and what I wrote is perfect for an occasion just like this. The themes I touched on that day, through tears, perfectly apply to today's ceremony. In my writings that day, reflected on a life lost and how my recent trip to Sugar Creek created a metaphor for life. During our trip, I watched numerous children on the sides of the creek throwing rocks and skimming stones. Some opted to chuck their stones, creating large and showy splashes. This was something simple and easy to do, not much work or skill involved. However, a select few took their time, picked up the round rocks of various sizes, and tried skimming the stones. While much more difficult, a perfectly skipped rock sends ripples up and down the creek. It is a beautiful sight to see. This made me think about people in general and how they carry themselves in life. Some are big and flashy, wanting all eyes on them, like the giant splash of a rock thrown into a creek. Others are more calm and calculated, spreading their influence far and wide, like a perfectly skipped rock, sending their ripples off to grow exponentially bigger and influence a bigger part of the creek. Jim Engledow was the definition of a skipped stone, with his influence spreading far and wide during his lifetime. From his birth in 1956, Jim lived in Carmel for his entire life, outside of a few years in Bloomington for middle school, and 4 years of college in Crawfordsville, Indiana. During his life, Carmel grew from a sleepy Indianapolis suburb of under 1,500 residents to one with almost 100,000 today. It grew from a tiny little creek into a raging river. But Jim's influence in the community continued to grow right along with it. Outside of Carmel, Jim gave of his time to various causes, including his alma mater, Wabash College in Crawfordsville, and the United Methodist Children's Home in Lebanon. But his passion was working on improving his hometown of Carmel. He coached hundreds and hundreds of kids through Carmel Dad's Club baseball and basketball programs, both personally and through the Engledow group. He sponsored causes such as Carmel Clay Public Library, Historical Society, and countless donations to school-sponsored events. He wanted to improve his community in any way that he could, and he found that the best way to influence would be through the Parks Department. Jim's influence with the Carmel Parks Board is vast. He served on the board for 20 years, with they'd have been as president. They won the gold medal from the National Recreation and Parks Association 2 times, in 2014 and 2020. This park, where we stand today, is a testament to the board under Jim and their dedication to creating world-class experiences at all the parks dotted throughout the community. Jim always loved West Park as it was the closest one to his house, and this is where he would go with his grandkids. All of them love coming here with Pop, and I must say the new renovations are absolutely gorgeous. I've looked at them in the past, and you guys, when it gets drier out, make sure you go take a look at them. They're beautiful. The community is already reaping the benefits, and generations to come will enjoy the fruits of Jim's dedication to the Carmel community and the Carmel Clay Parks Group. So as we leave here today, I ask you to think about those kids playing in the creek. Are you a big, splashy, look-at-me kind of rock? Or are you a skipped stone, spreading your influence far and wide? Or could I venture a third option? And I think this more perfectly sums up my dad. Become a rock that skips along the water and gets bigger and bigger as it goes. And when it finally does sink, it continues to influence the direction of the creek. That's my dad. Though gone in body, his influence and community spirit will continue to be felt in Carmel for generations to come. And as his son, I couldn't be more proud to call him my dad. Thank you.
Jim is someone that we truly will miss, and someone that did truly have a profound impact on this community and Carmel Clay Parks Recreation especially. So thank you to the entire Engledow family for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your dad, your son, your brother, your grandfather with us for so many years. I understand that he used to say, not let people bother him when he was in a park board meeting and stuff. So thank you again for sharing and we wouldn't be who we are today without him. His impact truly is that's good to know. I would now like to invite Rich Taylor, our board president, to make some remarks on behalf of our board.
Welcome. I'm deeply honored to be here today, not just for the reimagining of our West Park, and thank you to the township, trustee Paul Hensel, Mary Eckert, and especially Matt Snyder, who's ran these Clay Township Impact Programs, has completely revitalized all our park systems. I was talking to Todd Engledow when I came in today, and I also have lost a brother. And I said, today's very bittersweet. We are honoring reopening a reimagined West Park, honoring a great man, but also reminded of the loss that we've all experienced. When others have, his family and others think about Jim, one word comes to mind, and that's servant. You heard that he served this organization, he served that organization, he served our community. We wouldn't be here today without Jim. When I first moved to this community, I didn't know a single soul, and I was asked to do the fundraising for Carmel Fest. Well, who's the first person I met and was willing to help me? A lost young man in a new town trying to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for Carmel Fest. Guess who that was? Jim Engledow. He was served for treasurer many years, and he made a great impact on me. I've learned so much from him, serving on the Parks Board with him since 2010. I didn't know Robert's rules. Guess who helped teach me Robert's rules? Guess who taught me how to run an effective board meeting? Guess who taught me not to sweat the small stuff and to focus on the bigger picture and how you accomplish the park's goals? He has transformed this community. Jim Engledow, the servant, will impact us, our grandchildren, and our grandchildren's grandchildren for many years to come. His lasting legacy we will see throughout this community. So I'm just honored today to recognize the Jim Engledow Commons at West Park. And I do have a secret. There was another favorite park he had. It was just a little bit further away, and some of his family may know. Is that he always loved Flowing Well Park. It was one of our first parks, and he always enjoyed going to the park there. Some of that was before grandkids, though. But thank you all for coming today to honor Jim and just to appreciate the lasting impact he's made on parks and many of us personally. Thank you for coming.
I next would like to invite Matt Snyder, our member of the Township Board, and Matt Tristed, one of the masterminds behind the Clay Township Impact Program. The incredible renovations that we've made over the years within the park system would not be possible without the commitment from Clay Township. I want to make sure we recognize you and the entire township for the incredible commitment you've made to Carmel Clay Parks Recreation.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, I did plant the seed on many of these projects, but I have to give Mary Eckert a heck of a lot of credit because if it had a playground, she was all over it. And Paul Hensel, thank you for your support. We are all blessed to live in a community with a township as relevant as ours. It's the most relevant township in the United States, and these beautiful amenities are the product of that. This park is beautiful. Unfortunately, today we can't walk around it, but I encourage everybody to come out. This is one of many parks that the Clay Township Impact Program was able to reimagine. But I'm going to tell you about another project that we did as a township, and that is a 200 square foot, over 200,000 square foot field house over at the Carmel Dance Club. And I share this with you because this was a unique venture that not only served Carmel Dance Club, but also was a partnership with the parks. So the Dance Club uses it in the wintertime and the parks uses it in the summertime. And I bring that project up because I was trying to do the math. Eric might be able to help me, but it was 36 years ago, Jim Engledow first came into my life. He was my t-ball coach at Carmel Dance Club. And he was for many years, through all of my sports. He was just always around. As I grew up and got through college and came back and entered the world of construction and engineering, I still leaned on Jim Engledow. And I'd show up I'd give him a call and I'd say, I have no idea what these plans mean. Whatever he was doing, he'd say, come on by. And I'd walk in his office and he'd invite whoever the person that had the expertise on what I was asking come in, and he'd say, this is my boss. Here's the owner of Engledow, and he'd call me his boss because the township would appoint him. But he is so humble. And I aspire to that humility. His service that I've known for nearly 40 years is unmatched. And I appreciate him, and I appreciate you all for being here to celebrate this, and I can think of no better person to name this park after. Thank you.
I also would like to invite Councilor Miles Nelson. West Park sits in Miles' district, and he gets to hear from all of our residents on the west side about the additional things we need to do for parks. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to celebrate our day.
Thank you very much. To the Engledow family, I didn't get to ever meet. I wasn't that lucky to meet your father, Eric. But my father passed away in 2019, and I think there were some similarities on the impact that they had on our individual lives. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about it, so cherish those memories. I also got to meet Jack Engledow, and what I learned from your father and from your relative was he was a visionary, but he also had the skill set to help bring things to fruition. What a special man, what a special son you had, sir, and it was nice to meet you as well. This is a very special project that we are able to reintroduce. It was also my favorite park growing up, or when my son was growing up and my daughter was growing up. We spent many a time here on the wet pad and enjoyed ourselves. What an asset to our community. And I promise you that we as a government know what our role is here, and that is to take care of this fabulous asset to our community. And there's another Jim here, just like your Jim. And it isn't every day that you get to leave a gift to future generations, but your father, your son, your nephew has the opportunity to do that. And I welcome this gift to our community and hope that there are many more opportunities where we can share time together. Thank you so much for the gift.
So I'm going to step back just a little bit before I ask our next speaker to come out and talk a little bit about the reimagined West Park. So I talked about in the very beginning how this park has had a strong commitment to nature and to play. And as we were designing this park and coming up with a new future, a new vision for this park, and one of our next speakers will talk about that in a little bit more detail, but we really wanted to give the input from the kids, because it's the kids who use the park. It's the kids that have the imagination to understand what this park can be. They're not limited by the years that us adults have that we become risk averse, or we become afraid to try new and exciting things. And the kids very much push this on us. And one of the things that they talked about that they loved about the park, and it really kind of speaks to a little bit about the creek stomping and that Eric was talking about too, is one of the popular features in West Park for many years was the splash pad. which was basically a replication of Indiana Creek. And again, it was getting towards the end of life. It needed to be replaced. It didn't meet current safety standards, but it was well loved by the community. And listening to the kids, they loved the creek. They loved the idea of the creek. So we listened very closely to them, and they liked the ideas of hills, and they liked the ideas of adventure. And ultimately what came out of that, next time you are able to enjoy outside the park, the main part of the park, the area that will forever now be known as Jim Engledow Commons, first look to the back. And one of the signatures of West Park, almost from its inception, was Jill's Hill, the sledding hill. And think of the sledding hill as the mountain. What we did as part of this project is create the foothills, and we created the canyons. And you had the water running off the highlands to the lowlands, through the splash pad, waterfalls coming cascading off of the canyon walls. And then the water continues down into the wetlands and the lowlands. And you have that simulated stream, a blue ribbon that goes through the lower play area. That's that creek continuing, going through reeds and wetlands and the types of plants that you might see there, the cattails. And then it actually continues into a real wetland. It continues into the pond. And that's the imagination. That's the story that we heard from the children. And it is such an honor to be able to bring that to life for children for generations to now enjoy. And it's even more special to know that those children and those families are forever going to associate that with Jim Engledow Commons. So I love that story. I love that vision of what the park is today. And I love that it now ties together so closely with Jim. With that, I also want to move on to another Jim, and someone that also has had a profound impact on the city of Carmel, as well as been a steward for parks and public spaces and quality of life. And certainly we would not be the community that we are today without the leadership of Mayor Jim Engledow.
Thank you, Michael. It's always interesting to go last because at that point everything's been said, but not yet by everybody. I had to smile at Matt's story about having Jim Engledow as T-ball coach. That's one of the things I failed at, coaching T-ball. Remember, I think it was the second practice. I was trying this out. The kids were about 5, and the little boy managed to hit the ball part of the way. She was running third base. I shouted at him, "Run home, go home." And he immediately broke into tears, ran over to his mother, thinking that I was telling him to go home to his house. And I realized that teaching is a lot harder than it might appear. As I think about Carmel, about our park system, when our administration took office, we had 41 acres of parks. Only 2 small parks managed by the 1 full-time parks department employee and the 1 part-time parks employee. So short-staffed, we turned the 3rd park that we own over to Engledow County to manage for us. And then there was a small group of people. And I remember Judy Hagan, Sue Dillon, and others, Vincent Joe Perlman. This would be a great site. The west side of Carmel, as the city expanded, the green spaces were particularly important, especially given that everybody living in Carmel doesn't have a big yard. And it occurs to me as I think about the impact that Jim Engledow and others has, always, paraphrase Margaret Mead, is that always that small group of people that get things done in our community, whether it's small groups at Palladiumville that started the Dash Club years ago, that insisted on great zoning building standards back in the 70s and 80s, that focused on great library system, public schools. All small groups have taken on something and made it really special. And one of the best anywhere, what that thing is. And in this case, Jim, a small group of people, decided that Carmel needed
us create this incredible space that we have today. So, Ray, give us a little bit more history about it.
Well, aren't any stories left? Michael just told the entire story, but no, I think that I can't give out enough thank yous. Everybody who has preceded me on the stage is the reason why I'm standing here. Mayor, 20 years plus of love of parks is why, I get to do what I do and why I love what I do. I'm so honored to have Jim's name associated with a project that I designed. Jim and I go back 20 plus years to Central Park when it all started. And, Jim, we had I'm a landscape architect, we had sort of an overlapping livelihood, and he was always the biggest champion for great design, excellence, innovation. And he was also a very, for those who know Jim, was a very blunt and honest critic if I wasn't hitting the mark, and it could be better, and he was very honest about that. So he always had my back, and he always challenged me to be better too. And I think, the work around us is proof of that too. So I can't, thank Jim enough for all he's been. I miss him, but I'm sure he's smiling right now looking down at all of us and the park that has his name associated with it. Again, the township, the board, the staff, Michael, your leadership, everybody involved has always pushed us as designers to keep Carmel Clay Parks as the leader in the industry, to set the bar, to push the envelope. It's not always easy, we have a lot of teachable moments when we do that, but that's what innovation, that's what happens when we innovate and when you set the bar next to it. So again, I thank everybody who's been part of that. Michael, you've always you've rolled up your sleeves with us as a design team. You dare us to dream big and push that bar too, and you lead by example, as does your entire leadership team too. And so again, this wouldn't happen. This community is blessed to have you as a leader, and everybody again who's been on this stage to have me. I want to thank the kids. I love the story and I lived it, and actually it starts even before that, because actually I thought I was going to be standing over there, just like others have pointed to the park behind us. I thought I would be standing in the center of the park, which we call the parent perch. And that goes back to the master plan update we did in 2016, that despite this community loving that water park and play experience, there were some parents who said, one thing that would be better if I could see my kids at all times, because sometimes if I have a kid in the water park over here and the playground over here, I don't know where they're at. So there were some little subtle things that started happening. And so that center part with the shelter, the toilets, it really became that intentional parent perch where you could sit and watch your kid, the birthday party. And so there's little details like that came early on from parents, some of them who are in the room right now. But the real magic that Michael alluded to happened during the master planning of that space. We heard the kids loved what we had, and we started off with the design. So Michael described a topographic experience of starting high, and actually in the first design, it started high with play and it ended low with water. And the kids said, well, we don't want that. We had that for a long time. We want to mash them together. We want to be able to throw water down on our friends. And so you can imagine sort of 3D chess. That's what the kids kind of came to us. So they looked at a drawing that we had done with our best professional skills, and they said, well, why don't you kind of fold that and put the water in the middle and create a canyon? And we like waterfalls, and so they really just through that process. Again, we think of the kids as the end users, and they are. But having part of the process, which is something that this community does better than any place I've worked in the entire country, you can see the exact and direct results of that too. And so you've got an experience here that is for kids, by kids, and again, I think it's an industry standard, just like our goal was. And I'm honored, I'm proud to be part of it. I'm proud to have a project with Jim's name associated with it. And thank you. And I wish I could say let's go tour right now, as the rain starts harder than it has all day today. But it'll end and we'll have that chance to. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Anyway, that concludes our organized program, but it would not be a celebration for a newly reimagined park without a ribbon cutting. Now, of course, our vision was that we would do a ribbon cutting really close to the sign that says Jim Engledow Commons, but Mother Nature had different ideas. So, one thing that we've certainly learned is to be impromptu and improvise. So we invite, first of all, the Engledow family to join us, as well as our community leaders, park board members, mayor, council, township board, of course, township trustee, to help us do the ribbon cutting. And we'll have a photo of Jim Engledow Commons in the background to help us celebrate. But thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. And I also would be remiss. So when we're at the funeral, I remember one of the people that gave the eulogy talking about Jim and liking ice cream and maybe Bluebell being something that's associated with the Engledow family. So we also do invite everyone to stay a little bit, visit, and have a little bit of Bluebell ice cream that we'll have in honor of the celebration. So come on up,
Hey, Jeff.
Thank you.
It's a transparent.
Welcome to go up this way. Just watch your step.
Video on your face gives a really funky curve. So why don't we all sort of scoot to the side just a little bit? That way we can have the family predominantly, and then this sort of off to the side.
It's like in their face, the projector. So cute. I'm tall, I can't. We have everybody on this side come in a little bit. Find your prom window. That's how we'll see you.
And we're gonna take a couple pictures and count on 3, and then you can, hold on 1 second, I can't see the mayor. Mayor, can you come, where's the mayor? Mayor's way back here. Come up here. And then Mary, make sure you can see Mary over the shoulder. Thank you, Nancy. In here. Just tell me when. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Are you guys ready?